Alright, number 11 is asking you to perform the indicated computation and to write the answer in scientific notation. So we are dividing here, so let's put that right into the calculator. So let's put this in. We have, first do alpha y equals, and we have 1.8 times 10 to the 8th power. And that's being divided by 9 times 10 to the 5th power. Okay, press enter. We'll get 200. But now we got to write that 200 in scientific notation. So let's go back and do that. So I have a decimal point here for the 200. And I have to rewrite this so that the number is between 1 and 10. So I move the decimal place to the left 2 places. So that means I'll be left with 2. It'll be 2 times, when I move to the left, my exponent will be positive, or it's being added, so I'll have 10 to the 2nd power. Okay, so my answer is going to be 2 times 10 to the 2nd power, because I went over 2 times to the left. So I type in 2 times 10 to the 2nd power. That's number 11. Number 12 is asking you to simplify the following expression. Now, I have a fraction being raised to a negative exponent, so what I do is simply flip it upside down. So I would write 4 over 3. Since my exponent is just 1, I won't do anything with the numbers, so my answer would just be the reciprocal of this, 4 over 3. So that's number 12. Okay, now we need to simplify all of this, so let's take a closer look at that. So looking at this, there's a whole lot of mess going on. The first thing I notice, though, is this. Okay, because I see something being raised to an exponent here, and I want to get rid of that. So, raising the exponent to a power, I multiply. So negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Okay, now what we're going to do is take each of these individually. Start with the numbers 4 and 8, go to the x's, and then go to the y's. So starting with the 4 and 8, if you cover all this up, you see it's the fraction 4/8, which reduces to 1/2, so that means 2 at the bottom. Alright, so now let's take a look at the x's. Now subtract the larger exponent from the smaller, so we have 3 minus a negative 2, which minusing a negative becomes positive, so it'll be 3 plus 2, which is 5. Now notice how the larger exponent is at the bottom, so leave it at the bottom, that x to the 5. Now we take a look at the y's. We have 4 minus a negative 6, which will give you 4 plus 6, which is 10. Larger exponent is up top, so y to the 10th power. So that's going to be my answer. Y to the 10 over 2x to the 5th. So typing that in, I have y to the 10 over 2x to the 5th. And that's number 13. Number 14 is asking you to simplify this, so let's take a look at it. So the first thing I notice is that this entire fraction is being raised to a negative exponent. When that happens, I'd like to start out by flipping everything upside down and making the exponent positive. Okay, so that's my first step. Flip this upside down and make the exponent positive. Now I'm going to raise everything inside to the exponent of 3. When I raise the exponent to a power, I multiply, so I'll get x to the 12, y to the 3rd, 3 to the 3rd, x to the 3rd, and then y to the 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. Okay? Now 3 to the 3rd power is 27. Now at this piece, we see we still got x's and y's both up top and at the bottom, so that means I can simplify it some more. So looking at my x's first, I subtract exponents since I'm dividing, so 12 minus 3 is 9. So I have x to the 9, y to the 3 over 27, y to the 9. Now I take a look at the y's. Subtract the larger exponent from the smaller, 9 minus 3 is 6. The largest exponent is 9 at the bottom, so I'll have y to the 6 at the bottom. So my answer is going to be x to the 9 all over 27y to the 6th. So let's put that in. So typing in, I'll have x to the 9 all over 27y to the 6th. And that's number 14. Number 15, it says to simplify this expression. You have this entire fraction being raised to an exponent. So you raise both the numerator and the denominator to the exponent. So y to the 1/4 power to the 4th power, I multiply exponents. So 1/4 times 4 is just going to be 1. So you have just y up top. At the bottom, we have 2 to the 4th power. So 2 to the 4th power is going to be 16. Because 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So my answer is going to be y over 16. That's number 15. Number 16, it is asking you to simplify the following and then write answers with positive exponents. So let's take a closer look at that. So first thing I notice is that both of these have a negative exponent. So what I'm going to do right away is get rid of that by flipping it upside down. So when they both have negative exponents, just flip them upside down and change the sign. So now we have v to the positive 6 over v to the positive 1. Now I just subtract exponents. 6 minus 1 is 5. So my answer is going to be v to the 5th power. So we have v to the 5th power. That's number 16. So looking at the x's first, I subtract 5 from 3 and I get 2. So I have x to the 2. Now looking at the y's, I have y to the 9 over y to the 9. That reduces to 1. They go away. So now I just have x squared as my answer. And that's number 17. Number 18 is asking you to simplify that. So again, when we have these ones, we will start with these numbers and work our way over to then the x's and the y's. So starting with the 36 and 4, we divide them. 36 divided by 4 is 9. Now I take a look at the x's. X squared divided by x. I subtract exponents. I'll just have x. Looking at the y's, subtract exponents. 7 minus 3 is 4. So I have y to the 4. So my answer will be 9xy to the 4th power. So I have 9xy to the 4th power. That's number 18. Number 19, it says to simplify this expression. Let's take a closer look at it. So I have m's and n's being divided. So starting with the m's, I will subtract the exponents. So 5 over 6 minus a negative 3 will end up being 5 over 6 plus 3, which ends up giving you 23 over 6. So you have m to the 23 over 6. Since the larger one is up top, m and 23 over 6 will be up top of fraction. Looking at the n's, subtracts the larger exponent from the smaller, so 7 minus 5 is 2. The larger one is at the bottom, so we put n to the 2 at the bottom. So my answer is going to be m to the 23 over 6 over n to the 2 power. Alright, so typing that in, we have m to the 23 over 6 all over m squared. And that's number 19.